We are going to go to State of the Nation, and today we want to focus on football in Kenya. What needs to be done? It is one of the most popular sports world over and even in Kenya, but there just seems to be something going wrong. And how can we expect our national team, Harambee Stars, to perform when there seems to be so much happening under the water? So we'll be having that discussion later on. We're even going to open the phone lines. We'd like to hear if you've got solutions and what you think can be done. But first of all, just a few sports stories. And after the super hectic travel, and many will agree that the national soccer team Harambee Stars were bundled out of the qualifiers for the 2018 World Cup. Stars who arrived at Cape Verde hours to the match looked out for assault and ran a round of exhaustion, playing for Cape Verde's advantage. The Stars were deemed 2-0 and sadly lost 2-1 on aggregate.
Once again, Ramos looks to serve it up for teammates here. Caught a lot of it, caught the bounce, cleared off the line, is it answers? No! On goal! Once it bounced, there was trouble. Plenty of trouble for the Kenyan defense. And for Cape Verde, well, not quite the class they wanted in the goal, but the goal they needed quite desperately in the closing stages of this first half. Good work on the far side. This Suarez cuts it back! And, well, they scored early in the second half to oppose the late goal in the first. They do have the lead, not only on the day, but on the aggregate scoreline here to Cape Verde. Beautiful work.
Gor Mahia trio of Karim Nigiziyima, Michael Ilunga and Medi Kagere are in the list of nominees for the 2015 Kenya Premier League Players of the Year award. A primary list of 8 contestants in different categories was released, where after a series of eliminations, the overall footballer of the year will bag 1 million Kenyan shillings.
So that means it won't be Shakava doing it. Bundo will probably opt to play.
SportPesa sponsored the Kenyan Premier League champions have dominated the list of this year's Footballer of the Year awards nominees. This after the shortlist of the 8 per category was released by the Sports Journalists Association of Kenya Football Committee and KPL officials in readiness for this year's awards. 3 Gor Mahia players, including Michael Olunga, Medi Kagere and Karim Zigimana, are in the list of the most valuable player, joined by 2015 Kenyan Premier League top scorer Jesse Were and AFC Leopards midfielder Bernard Mangoli. John Makwata of Ulinzi Stars, David Kingato of Bandari, Ebrima Sena of City Stars are also in the top honours race. The battle of the midfield of the year category sees Khalid Aucho and Collins Okoth from Gor Mahia battle it out against Bernard Mangoli of AFC Leopards, Eric Johana Mathare United, Kevin Amwai Ulinzi Stars, David Kingato and Anthony Kimani of Bandari, together with George Mandela of Moroni Youth. Gor Mahia trio of Harun Chekava, Karim Zigimana and Musa Mohamed are among the best defenders nominees, together with Noah Beach from Mathare United, Edwin Wafula AFC Leopards, Kaipiliman Kanamuli Ushuru FC, Godfrey Kokoyo Ulinzi Stars, Eugene Asike Tusker FC, Colin Shivachi of Sofapaka and Sharif Mohamed from Bandari. Boniface of Gor Mahia is part of the 8 in the best goalkeeper slot list, while Gor Mahia's Scottish tactician Frank Nuttall is a clear favourite to win the Coach of the Year award. Are Ulinzi Stars Robert Matano and Paul Nkata, who oversaw Moroni Youth revival in the second leg.
After 5 weeks of regional soccer talent search, the national trials for the Safaricom Next Generation kicked off Wednesday at Nyayo National Stadium. The event will end today, where a total of 75 talented young boys and girls will be selected to join My Professional Dreams Academy next year. Take a look.
The national trials of the Safaricom Next Generation kicked off at Nyayo National Stadium, where a total of 75 talented young boys and girls between the age of 11 and 16 years will be selected to join My Professional Dreams Academy next year. The 2-day trials that will end on Thursday brought together a total of 108 young talents who qualified in the regional tryouts held in Kisumu, Mombasa, Thika, Nakuru, Kakamega and Nairobi for the last 5 weeks. Out of the 180 shortlisted finalists taking part in the national trials, 64 are girls and 116 are boys. Of the 75 that will be selected to join the academy in January 2016, There will be 2 teams for the girls and 4 teams for the boys.
That doesn't mean everybody else that's here won't be going forward with them. We're going to invite every single player that's here to come and coach at the academy as guest players during 2016.
If I make it to the academy, I would want to take football to a professional level and be a professional player.
The players will be selected based on their skills, speeds, fitness, agility, movement of the players in the field, character, fitness, discipline, and the understanding of the game. Safaricom Limited sponsored the program to a tune of 50 million Kenyan shillings.
Betaway has announced their first jackpot winner, where 3 lucky Kenyans struck 8.5 million shillings prize money. The 3, Phantom Omosa, Austin Nanga, and Emily Kisa, each received 2.833 million shillings. Kitale-based Omosa said he was surprised after he was announced as the winner, considering that he only bet 50 shillings. Another winner, Emily Kisa, who is based in Kericho, she said she will use her money to expand her business. Kisa is a police officer and spent 200 shillings on placing her bets. Betaway sponsors Barclays Premier League side West Ham in English Premier League and hopes to build their brand locally.
What they like, what they don't like about the brand, the youth. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. We want to come into Kenya. We want to play an important role in building the industry, helping create a landscape which opens up the market to a lot of competitors, and obviously giving customers throughout Kenya, and hopefully soon to be the whole of East Africa and broader Africa, a wonderful betting experience where they can be entertained, their money can be well spent, and the joys of winning at Betway are true and the winnings are felt. And as I say again, we have our 3 winners here, Austin, Phantom and Emily, who are able to celebrate their wins.
This is Morning Express, and it's time for us to look at the state of the nation. But today we're looking at the state of football in Kenya, because it is a matter of concern. This is our national team. It is the most popular game in this country, yet there just seems to be something not happening, especially when it comes to money matters. Remember, you're welcome to participate in this conversation. You can do that via Twitter, and the Twitter handle is at KTN News, or you can tweet me directly, and that's at Michael G. Gitonga. Before we start, and before I introduce the guest that we have this morning, I must mention that we did try to get a hold of Wario, and it was not possible to get him. We also did try to get the PS for sports, and that did not also bear fruit. We did try to get FKF officials, and none of them were willing. They said they were not comfortable to come and talk about this yet, because they had other issues that they wanted to sort out. But joining me in the studio right now is Ambani Boniface, who is a former Kenya international football player, and thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, and welcome. Also, we'll be joined in just a short while by Fred Orocho, who is also a journalist and a football commentator. But let me start with you, Boniface. And first of all, football in Kenya seems never to have taken off. Maybe let's start from your days. Are we still at the same position where we were in terms of our professionalism when it comes to football?
Yeah, we are not even still where you are, but we have even gone back.
We've become worse.
Yeah, just worse. It's not even, we are not progressing, we are not even going anywhere. So it's quite pathetic, and what I should say that it's high time Nyamoya, president of FKF, at the moment, to step aside and let other guys come in and see what they can do also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you say he should step aside?
No, he should step aside. Something that every Kenyan is seeing. Yeah? It's open. Look at the national team preparations. Look at our leagues. Yeah. How do you have? You know, it's corruption everywhere. So to me, I think the best thing is for him to go home and let other people also try to to see if at all you can take Kenya where it's supposed to be.
How has he managed to be the FKF president since 2011? How come it's taken so long for this to get to for us to get to where we are?
You know, the problem is the setup rules. Yeah, the government cannot interfere into FKF issues. Yeah, it's only FIFA. It's only FIFA that can come in. But all along, FIFA has been supporting Nyamoya. You know, because Nyamoya holds a block of the Eastern Central votes. Yeah, so that's why they've been backing each and every time. And then he's quite cunning. Yeah. You see the way he runs things, yeah. So if at all, maybe let me say, if at all the voting, yeah, the voting could be done by maybe only Premier League clubs. I don't think Nyamoya could be on the seat right now. But now the voting is done by delegates, yeah. And the delegates, you see, they come from different parts of the country, and is very good in manipulating those delegates. So that's why, at the moment, up to this moment, is still there, because it buys a way out. Yeah, and then the problem is with the delegates, they do not use their heads in voting, they use their stomachs in voting, so that's the biggest issue. But if at all these guys come together and know that we have to take our football to the next level and put the right people in office, then I think all will be well. But if it's what's happening at the moment, I don't think.
Let's maybe define the challenges that are there and put into light what exactly is wrong. What is the problem?
The problem to me is how they manage the funds, yeah, and how they organize everything. Listen to me, like right now, for the issue around the size issue, yeah, for any country to be measured, yeah, we measure the strength of the club of the nation in football by the national team. When your national team is performing well, it means everything down there is okay. But when the national team is performing the way around the side is performing, definitely, you see, look at the FIFA rankings, yeah, where we are. Yeah, we have been overtaken even by Kevad. Kevad were nowhere in African football. But now, because they are managing their football well, they are managing their budgets well, that's where we are, and they are serious with football. But now in Kenya, they are not even serious with football.
Yeah, and right now I think our ranking is over 100. I mean, we're in the
somewhere 130.
130.
Yeah. And the day it was almost 80. We are at 80. So you see, you can't try to imagine. We have moved almost 50 or 60 places behind.
Now you have played for the national team, and you're not currently playing, but maybe the time that you were playing, when it was a little bit better, what was it that was different?
Anyway, that time I was playing, I played for the national team under the trainer of Peter Ken, yeah? I remember, he used to manage soccer very well, yeah? So we had sponsors everywhere on board, yeah? So you see, it's about how you manage your resources, yeah, because there's no way somebody will give you some money, maybe 100 bob, and tells you go and use this, and then you cannot even account for that 100 bob. So it becomes difficult for the same person again to come in and give you some more money to use, yeah? So that's the problem right now. You see, the money that comes in from FIFA, the money that comes in from the government to FKF, it's mismanaged. So when they try to account for each and every single cent, they can't. So it becomes difficult for companies around in Kenya to come in and sponsor the national team Harambee Stars, because I'm sure, 100% sure, there's so many companies in the country who would like to be associated with the national team, who would like to sponsor the national team. But now the problem is accountability. When it comes to the issue of accountability, FKF cannot account for anything.
Now it's unfortunate that we don't have somebody from FKF here, and we did try, to have them come, because I'd have wanted them to speak for themselves. But maybe by virtue of the fact that you are playing for the national team, you may understand the structure that possibly FKF has, and maybe you could enlighten us on that. And before we actually go into that, I'd also just like to bring in Fred Orocho. Thank you for joining us, and yes, he's not yet on camera, but there you go. Fred Orocho also joining us right here, and I'm going to come to you shortly. But what's the structure for FKF? How can one man single-handedly literally bring down the football of a whole nation?
As I told you, people think that Mugabe is the only dictator in Africa, but we also have some dictators, yeah? their own making. Nyamwa, I think, is one of them, yeah, because the best thing is you have to at least let people also help you handle these things. Yeah? You should not just be running the show alone. To me, I think you just run the show alone, and then second, it does not even want advices from anybody. So it does things the way he thinks.
Okay.
And then in football or in life, no, even in your family, you can't handle everything.
All right. Yeah. Fred Orocho, thank you for joining us. Fred Orocho is a football commentator and also a sports journalist. Thank you for joining us. Now, you're one that follows football both from a journalistic point of view to see what's happening, and I believe also as a fan. And maybe you could first of all just let us know what exactly is happening with our Kenyan football to a point where we seem to be getting worse by the day.
Well, I think, first of all, I'm sorry to be a bit late. I think the problem has been there for close to 15 years. What we are seeing now is just the issues coming to the epitome of the mess that has been Kenyan football. Why do I say this? I'll take you back to when Maina Kariuki was the president of Kenyan football. Maina came in as a very diplomatic guy, someone who brought a lot of professionalism into the game. But unfortunately, Maina was kicked out because of the fact that he was too busy with other issues other than football. Then came in the likes of Mohamed Hatmi, who was aloof. Hatmi didn't know much about the game. Hatmi was not hands-on to the game. Hatmi had other issues that brought him to football, other than football. Then after Hatmi, we had an election in 2011. And the election in 2011 was one of the most democratic elections that football has ever experienced in this country.
Which brought in Nyamweya.
Yes. And the reason why I'm saying that it was democratic is not because Nyamweya was the best candidate, but because it was all inclusive. More than 2,000 clubs in this country voted directly for the president. But unfortunately, in this country, there's a lot of hypocrisy as far as football is concerned. What I mean hypocrisy is that that time is when we could change our football. But the candidates who came in, there were some candidates, to my opinion, were not really candidates. These were spoilers, guys who brought in, made sure that the mess continued. The system that brought in Nyamweya was not bad. But when Nyamweya came in, for me, it was as a result of the confusion. Many candidates came in, and there was a lot of disgruntlement within the same vote. That for me was with Hussein Mohammed and Rachir, who was a contender then. Then came in Nyamweya. Nyamweya is a one-man show. Nyamweya does everything himself. And as Boniface said earlier, Nyamweya came in with a lot of goodwill, in the sense that Kenyans thought that the game will change. But Nyamweya made sure that he killed the institutions within the federation. The constitution that was brought in 2011 is a constitution, is a one-man show constitution. It's a constitution that in each and every 2 sentences that you read, the chairman must be mentioned. And I remember in 2011, Sami Sholei made a lot of noise and said, guys, this constitution cannot work. But unfortunately, the leadership within the federation then muzzled Sholei out, and Sholei was kicked out unceremoniously. So there has been a history of inconsistency within the federation and killing the very system that they're supposed to support. Now, coming back to your question, what is really happening? The genesis of the problem is now coming to fore. The genesis of the problem that has been there, it's culminating to the mess that we're now seeing.
So what we see right now.
Yes. So, and I read Arnold Origi's tweet the other day. Arnold is saying that, surely guys, this is when you realize, Arnold Origi, the Harambee Stars goalkeeper, this is now when you are realizing that what we normally go through. I traveled with the national team to Tunisia in 2013 as a journalist, and I was embarrassed.
Why were you embarrassed?
I was embarrassed because my team were not dressed to the occasion. What do I mean? It was freezing cold in Tunisia, yet our team didn't have any tracksuits. We had to, the team had to travel to the pitch when we played Liberia in a friendly match with most of them carrying towels and bed sheets to go and cover themselves in the pitch. This happens when we have a sponsor who is sponsoring our kit. Okay,
and then to add on that, that's why I'm telling you that in the national team, guys do things. I don't know how they really. Some of them are just into football, just maybe to make their names, and then maybe later on go to run for maybe elective post in parliament, whatever. But in football, what's supposed to happen? The way say in Tunisia, it was called. What do you do? Yeah, these guys, what are they supposed to do? We have to set an advance party. Maybe 1 or 2 weeks early to assess the situation, to know what is happening, what's the environment, what's the temperatures, what are the, everything, where the team is going to maybe to put up when they travel. But now you get the national team, you just travel, maybe even maybe today, they're leaving today, the leader of the delegation is there, everybody there. When they arrive there is when they realize, oh my friend, it's cold here, there's nothing they can do. There's no way they can rush to and maybe go and get anything that maybe can help the players. That's where we end up covering.
As a former player of Harambee Stars, despite the picture that you paint, because I'm sure to everybody who does not know all this information, it sounds too grim to even dare play for the national team. Why would even why were you playing for the team with all these things happening?
No, we're just playing for the team because now it's what you call, okay, sometimes you have to play for the national team, you are looking for those caps. Yeah, it's adding value.
So it's purely love for the game.
Yes, purely love for the game. And then second, as a professional player, that time, I look for the caps. And when you're capped more in the national team, it's easier for you again to get a club, maybe outside the country, to go professional. When you go professionals, those are some of the things you guys look at. How many times have you played for the national team? So sometimes you just play for the national team, not just because maybe you want to play for the national team. Maybe it's just for the love of the game. And then second, also you're building on your career.
Okay. All right. Just a reminder that you can participate in the conversation via Twitter. We'd like to hear what you have to say. And the Twitter handle is at KTN News, or you can also tweet me directly, and that's at Michael G. Gitonga. Also, we're going to be opening the phone lines, and the phone number is going to be displayed on your screen. Feel free to call and let us know what you feel needs to be done for football in Kenya to finally take the shape that it's supposed to have. And again, it's just unfortunate that FKF are not here, because I'd really have wanted them to be here to tell us what they're doing and what is going on behind the scenes. So just to let you know that, and also to let you know that you can call once the phone numbers are displayed. Coming to you, Fred, what needs to be done? You've mentioned that the constitution that was put place is a one-man show. What is the structure of FKF? How is FKF supposed to operate? Because then what we're saying is that Nyamoya literally can do whatever he wants, with whoever he wants, whenever he wants.
Well, I normally avoid mentioning Nyamoya, because I think that's where we're going wrong. As a country, we need to move away from Nyamoya, because I'd like to dignify the presidency. Not the president. Office. Yes, not the president. And I've been seeing guys commenting on social media about Nyamoya. I think Nyamoya, we are done with Nyamoya. So let's look past Nyamoya. And going back to your question, what should be done? What should be done is that when you're coming up with a constitution, you need to involve the stakeholders. This constitution was done by 2 people. Then it was brought to the National Delegate Conference. Untwisted the delegates, and they passed it as a constitution. And from moving from here henceforth, the country needs to understand that this is not only a game. This is a business. The problem in Kenya is that we look at football as a game. I stopped looking at football as a game long time ago, because football brings food on my table. So for me, it's not a game. It is an industry. Currently, football is bringing close to 350 million every year, into the economy of this country. But simply because there's a clique that is surrounding that 350 million, they won't want you to know exactly what's happening. So first of all, you must open up the field. Let's bring in everyone to discuss this game. Let's bring in former players. Let's bring in the journalists. Let's bring in the referees. Let's bring in the coaches. Let's bring in the players' union, so that everybody comes on board to share and contribute into the success of this game. An election is coming up in the next close to 1 month. I'm pleading to the delegates, the 78 gentlemen or women who are going to vote for Kenya, not for an individual.
Because how will they vote for Kenya? How do you come about with knowing that? Because especially you've mentioned the constitution, and we don't want to talk about an individual, but the position. Because you mentioned, according to the constitution that is there currently, it empowers the individual to a point where he can do what he wants.
Yes, he manipulates a lot of going by the constitution, because the constitution gives him the mandate to do that. So as I said, we are heading to an election in the next close to 14 days. First of all, the government must make sure that that election takes place, because there are people who are hell-bent to make sure that election does not take place. There are people who would like the election to be done after February, because FIFA election is coming up in February. So someone would like to maintain the status quo so that he can go and vote, because Kenya only have one vote. The president is the one who votes to FIFA. So there are people who would like that election to be prolonged till February so that he can go to Zurich and vote. There are people who won't want order in football, and I'm sorry to say so. I really feel very bad when I say this. There are people in this country who don't want order, because they thrive in disorder. Anyone who thrives in disorder will never want order. So they are grouping up to make sure that we don't have an election. They are pushing the election, they are taking cases to court. Because for me, the case that is in the tribunal court, for me it doesn't make sense. I'm sorry to say so. Because when you say that the current office must be compliant with the Sports Act, yet they are going out. You're saying that they cannot hold an election because they are not compliant, and yet they are outgoing. We are procrastinating the problem. First of all, the electoral board, the advice to the electoral board, make sure that anybody who vies for this election must be compliant with the Sports Act, so that whoever is elected automatically is compliant and the association will be compliant. But when you're trying to compare the current office, which first of all his term has already expired, because the only person who is in office legally currently is the president, because the constitution says that once the 28th of October passed, the only person who is legally in the office is the president. And that's why I say that the constitution is just about the president. The only person who is in the office until the next office comes in is the president. So why don't we just do an election? Make sure that whoever vies in that election is compliant to the Sports Act. Then eventually, whoever is elected will present the association to be compliant.
Okay, Boniface, let's talk solutions. What needs to be done? You've been there, you've played football for the Kenya national team, and you know what bedevils and goes on behind the scenes. What needs to be done? Do you agree that maybe after the elections things should be okay?
Yeah, after the elections things should be okay. What should be done first thing, yeah? I know Orocho, as he said, that he does not want to talk about maybe an individual, maybe Nyamoya, but to me I'll go back and say what should be done is Nyamoya should go home. We get the guys in office, and from there we start building from there. Because from the way things are at the moment, even if you tell me, oh, they will say, oh, Ambani, you have to go for an elective post maybe in the sub-branches. No, I'll get the sub-branch. I'll try to move things the way I want them to be moved. But the head, yeah, the back stops that the president.
The president.
Yeah. So even if you tell them do this, even if you tell him to do this, I think he won't be able to listen. Yeah. So the best thing with the FKF, I think the first person to be with it is the president, and this is Namaya. He should go home, and then from there we'll lay the structures. We'll come in. We have a lot to offer in Kenyan football. Yeah. I've traveled a lot. I know I have a lot that I can bring in Kenyan soccer, and then it changes. But now we are not being given that chance. Yeah. Nobody comes and tells us, hey guys, you guys have been playing as the country. How is it? Yeah. Okay. Smaller countries like Cape Verde, if you look at their structures, smaller countries like, for example, South Africa. South Africa just came in the other day in football. Yeah. We have been there for long, but now you cannot even compare our structures with South Africa. Yeah, far much better, way away. Yeah, from Kenya. And we have the structures. We have the players. We have good players. I'm telling you. Yeah. We have players who can match any player in this continent. Okay. But now the problem is it's the head. Once you get the head out of there, I'm sure, 100% sure, things will work out.
Fred, if the constitution remains as it is, then it is subject to be abused or has the ability to be abused like the current one. Should we start possibly with the change of the constitution?
Yes, I talked about the constitution. That one must be done because, okay, definitely cannot be done before the election because the election is up. And whoever is thinking that the election can be pushed more than 3 months is dreaming. Because according to the FIFA constitution, once this tenure lapses, the extension cannot go past 3 months. So once we're done with that, FIFA will bring in a caretaker committee to run Kenyan football. But all said and done, I don't think that the problem is only in football. The problem is in sports. It is not in football alone. Look at athletics. What is happening in athletics? One-man show. Look at, I traveled with the national team to the All African Games. I was really astonished. The only association that is vibrant and there's an accountability is table tennis, headed by one Andrew Mudibo. The rest are shams. Look at cycling. There is no cycling activities in this country. Yet we have a national team that traveled to Congo. We look at wrestling. There is no wrestling activity. Yet there is a national team that traveled to Congo. 7 players.
We even have taekwondo.
Look at taekwondo. I was embarrassed to do an article about taekwondo. We're having 2 national teams of taekwondo in Brazzaville. A total shame. So for me, it is not only in football. Yes, football is the #1 sport because it has the following. But what we need, not what needs to be done, we need to actualize the Sports Act. You know, I normally tell myself that you cannot talk to monkeys when you want to destroy their forest. You don't talk to monkeys. Will you talk to monkeys? Will you ask them which part of the forest should I ban? No. You ban the forest. So the government must come in strongly and make sure that the Sports Act is followed to the letter in each and every sports discipline in this country. Not only football. This football is just a tip of the iceberg. So going back to your question, moving forward, guys, we must be serious. Integrity issues must be followed in this country. You cannot tell me that an official who cannot even get a certificate of good conduct can talk about integrity in this country. Someone who cannot even walk into CID's office and come out clean. He will either record a statement or he will be arrested simply because he has issues of integrity. And this is the reason why we don't have sponsors within this game. In 2011, when the new office came in, we had Sakata Boli. Safaricom used to pump close to 35 million into the game directly. Mashinani. Money used to go to Taita Taveta, Karachonyo, Butere, Bungoma through Sakata Boli. What happened when this office came in? Safaricom ran away. Coca-Cola. It used to make sure that football is felt in each and every part of this country. When this office came in, what happened? Coca-Cola ran away. The other day, StarTimes versus Supersport. Surely, it is a total embarrassment. So for me, order must come in. And anybody who has been thriving in disorder, I'm giving you notice. Because me, I'll chase you until you realize that football is not only for you. Football is for all of us.
It's a national thing.
Yes.
All right, Boniface, let's talk about even the nurturing of footballers. And I know talent is something that we are not lacking. However, given the current state as we are, we're not likely to see other talent coming up. And we're likely to even lose talent. I've seen an article today that Wanyama had almost reached a point. He thought, you know, I'd better just abandon playing for Kenya and just play for international teams. How do we overcome this?
We have to overcome this, yeah, because at the moment, you see, most of these players who are playing the Premier League, they are not necessarily from the word go, yeah. So we tend to lose so many players down there because most of them think they're looking at maybe the clubs in the country, what other clubs, maybe what other many players are earning, and then at the end of the day they decide, okay, fine, what do we do? Let me just start hustling for my life, yeah? Because the other day, I remember I was with Orocho. We went to committee, maximum security prison, yeah? Some of our players were there. They used to play for them in the Nini, not national team. The league, yeah? The Premier League. Madari, Thika United. Not of the, we have almost how many players?
About
around 8 to 10 players.
in prison.
In prison, yeah? 8 to 10 players in prison. My friend, they have excellent players.
It is terrible.
It's terrible. I sat with them. I asked them, what happened? They told me, okay, fine. If you look at life on the other side, yeah, this is a player who has a family, he has to raise, he has a wife, he has to raise his kids. But at the end of the day, when he goes to maybe there is salary, he earns apparently maybe 5,000 shillings. Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about the business side of sports, which we don't seem to explore, and that might be the reason why we even have them in prison rather than earn. Yet they're talented players. But we have a call from Ibrahim in Nairobi. Good morning, Ibrahim, and thank you for calling. To your comment or question.
Good morning, Mr. Gitonga. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak with you people.
Thank you.
I want to really, my name is Ibrahim Jilo. I am the Administration Police Secretary General for the football team. I want to share the statement of Orocho and my brother there, Boniface. This is indeed a very sad situation for the Kenyan football. And I think it has been very sad all along. And I don't know why people are realizing this thing today. And from the time of Hatmi, this guy called Mohammed Hatmi or somebody, this is the guy who was the Federation's president previously. And when Nyamweya came into being, and he has been there all along, and I don't know why people have been turning blind eye to this particular situation. Kenyan players all over the world have been suffering. You can hear everybody talking about Kenyan situation. And I am really saddened as a Kenyan and a citizen of this country, as a former player and a lover of football in this country. And I think it is high time, therefore, for every citizen of this country, including government. I think the government is supposed to be blamed for all these issues. Because I want to say that really, they have been there, the Kenyan Sports Ministry has been there from the time of Commander, from the time of these other guys who was in the last government. We sat together discussing issues that is affecting Kenyan football. And nobody absolutely is turning a serious eye into this issue.
So Ibrahim, sorry to cut you short. Ibrahim, so would you put the blame squarely on the government, or is it FKF?
Both government and FKF, because government is the one that has been putting the policies of sports in this country. And if an organization of Kenyan football, like for example the FKF, has not been complying with the requirements of the policy, I think therefore the government is supposed to come in and whip this ball. Like for example, the presidency. The president of Kenyan football, Nyamweya is a non-starter in Kenyan football. He has been there for his own personal interest, not any Kenyan interest. The players of this country who have been living under the wrath of this particular man have been suffering for a long time, for a very long time. And I am sorry for Kenyans who are realizing this today.
All right.
Because from the time you have heard of Nyamweya, is there anything tangible, anything that is that has come from this guy?
All right. Thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you, Ibrahim. They are very passionate in his feeling towards football. We also have Nyangweso in Mombasa. Good morning, Nyangweso, and thank you for calling. Go ahead, Nyangweso.
Hello. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Okay, whatever I want to say is, my name is Nyangweso. I'm in Mombasa right now. Morning, Mr. Gitonga.
Yes, Nyangweso, I can hear you. Go right ahead. Okay. And kindly turn your TV volume off, or turn the TV off. Then we don't get feedback.
What I want to say is, the football in Kenya lies clearly with the Ministry of Sport and the so-called FKF.
Okay.
So the solution I would let our football stakeholders put in is one thing. The constitution of this thing so-called FKF should be involved squarely. The people are directly involved in sport. We don't need to put, like for example, there's also sports in general. This athletic thing, people that are okay since I was a child, so many years, they need also to retire. They need some other people to do. Same to Nyamweya. If he's tired, he needs to go home and leave some other people to do their work. That matters all young people, like the day yesterday. People are tutoring for several hours. It's not fair at all.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, thank you very much, Nyangwe. So we also have Luceno in Nairobi. Luceno in Nairobi. Good morning, Luceno.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Go right ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for this morning show. And I'm glad that you've given me the chance to contribute to this debate.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'm not a footballer, but I think I want to make a few comments that I think would help us on the way forward. I want to commend the two Mr. Orocho and Ambani, who I can tell and I can see from their contribution a lot of frustration. And I also see a lot of the participants very emotional about this. This should actually explain the underlying frustration that Kenyans feel as a nation in the way football is run in this country. Now, having said that, I want to say, without wasting a lot of time, that the problem we have in this country, in most institutions, is basically about leadership or lack of leadership. And looking at football as one of the few sectors in this country or institutions, I say Nyamweya, or wherever it is, becomes an institution. That is why people talk about Nyamweya. They are not talking about him because of the name. It is because he holds an office that has become institutionalized with the failure and continuous destruction of our football.
Okay.
Now, having said that, I want to ask Kenyans to ask themselves very candid questions, but very honestly. What does our constitution provide for leadership and integrity? Does this man meet the test of leadership and integrity under our constitution? If you keep hiding under small documents which infringe on the constitution in terms of the national constitution, in terms of KFF or whatever constitution, I think we are doing injustice to ourselves. Every other instrument in this country must align itself to the national constitution.
Okay.
If he does not meet the test of leadership, he should not hold a leadership position.
Okay.
In any case, why do we keep blaming external forces like FIFA? There is Nigeria, there is South Africa, there is Cameroon. They all are under the same. They don't blame FIFA.
Okay.
They are demonstrating leadership, and they have continuously demonstrated successful leadership.
All right, Luceno, thank you. I think we've got the point there. Thank you very much for calling. And in case you'd like to give us a call, remember the phone lines are still open. But let me come to you, Mr. Fred Orocho. Nyamweya's name keeps coming up again and again and again and again. How do we move away from Nyamweya?
Sadly, everybody's talking about Nyamweya. And for me, Nyamweya is just the squirrel. Kenyans, let's look at the antelope. The squirrel is just a distraction. Sorry that I'm using such phrases. But what I'm saying in a nutshell is, let's look at the presidency. Let's not look at the president. Because if you ask me, Nyamweya, we were done with Nyamweya on was it Monday? On Tuesday? When Harambee Stars lost. I don't think that Nyamweya can be re-elected into Kenyan football again, because everybody saw what happened. There are statements flying left, right and center that there was some money that was given by the government. Nyamweya is countering that, saying that the money came late here and there. But for me, let's just clean the house. And for us to clean this house, we don't expect us to come in a white suit. This house is dirty. We cannot come into this house with a white suit. What needs to be done is that we are having candidates who are vying for the presidency, because the reason why we must bring in a good president for Kenyan football is because he'll bring an environment that will enable the constitution to be revised and everybody brought in, so that we can have a new football dispensation in this country. This is a golden opportunity, because in the next 10 to 14 or 1 month time, we are going to election. If this happened 6-8 months ago, I couldn't have been talking the way I'm talking, because Kenyans will forget very fast. But because it's only a month from now, I don't think that a rightful Kenyan will go to that ballot and vote for Nyamwe. The 78 guys are going to vote. And it's important also to know how these 78 guys are going to be picked. For example, in Nairobi, we're having 16 constituencies. Each and every constituency is a sub-branch. Guys are going to vote there. Each club that is within, for example, Kamkunji constituency, is going to vote for its branch leadership. Once the branch leadership has been realized, 5 of the guys from that branch are going to vote into the branch. Nairobi, we have 2 branches, the west and the east. So let's say, for example, within the west branch, we have 8 constituencies. The 8 constituencies times the 5 guys from each and every constituency, 40 people are going to vote for the branch. The branch, we are going to pick 2 guys who are going to vote in the national elections, and that will happen countrywide. So once we have, because we have 20 branches, we're going to have 40 members from the branches. I think you're getting me right.
Yes.
Then we have 16 chairmen from Kenya Premier League.
Okay, so just to summarize, so that we get the drift of it, what we need to do is have people who are aware or rather who have the love for football, to ensure, because I'm trying to understand, once we have those numbers, how is it that now we vote to have the right chairman, the right president for FKF?
There will be a delegate conference that will be held for the election. So the 78 guys will come, then they will vote. But as I said earlier, for me is the candidates who are now offering their candidature for this coming election.
Okay.
These are the guys we should scrutinize. You should call them into your studio, let them tell you what they have for Kenyan football.
Okay, I'll come to you, Mr. Boniface, but let's talk to Innocent Mutiso, who is the chair for Footballers Welfare Association. Mr. Mutiso, thank you for joining us right here. And Mr. Mutiso, maybe we're talking solutions on how we can improve the game in Kenya and ensure that Harambee Stars concentrate purely on playing the game and not chasing for their allowances and flights left, right, and center. Mr. Mutiso.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be live on studio.
Thank you.
And I'd like to say the players need a motivation. I'm a player. I'm a current player, although right now I'm sidelined. But I know once the player gets to the pitch and his mind is clear, he doesn't have any stress. His family is okay. Everything in the club is okay, and he enters that pitch. I'm sure the results will be got. What I can provide, maybe a solution, I have an idea of maybe when the players are called to camp, maybe there should be like a standard amount. They should do away with the daily wages. They should just be maybe just a standard amount. When they enter in camp, each and every player should be given that amount, or they agree on the time that that amount will be given, so that every time we come the issue of having a sit-in every time players are in camp. It's been happening since time immemorial, and this thing should stop. We need a change, and we need Harambee Stars to be treated with the respect they deserve.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Innocent. And let me come to you, Boniface. And in terms of now, he talks about motivation and wages. How does it currently work? Because we know some of, let's not even go to the European League, because that's, that's another world altogether. But at least to have reasonable time for somebody to practice, knowing that they'll get some pay out of it. Is that structured? Is that something that can be done? Would that help the game?
No, let me tell you in the first place, with the national team players, they cannot have wages, because it's something maybe today you are in, today you are out, so nobody will put you on a wage, So the only thing that usually comes in the national team is allowances, and it's something that has been budgeted for, and they know when a player goes into camp, it's maybe 5,000 shillings in a day, So definitely the coach knows how many days he wants. He's planning to have the players, and then you cannot have players in the national team in the camp for maybe more than maybe 2-3 weeks, Because remember one thing, they're playing for their clubs, and the coach only comes in, he selects his team that he thinks is going to be in camp. So you can try to imagine that maybe Southampton has to lose Mugabe maybe for 2 weeks because he's in the national team in training camp. No, what happens is the coach names his squad, and then within 1 week, before maybe the match, definitely the team should win camp, and that's something that the FKF knows very well.
Okay.
So the planning of everything is about is the FKF and the coach, who knows exactly what's supposed to happen, and the coach knows the number of players he needs to win the team. And then second, and then another issue is the coach, as I said, definitely he has to have his provisional squad of maybe 25 players who are coming to the camp. The issue of maybe bringing in 40-50 players in camp is something of the past.
Okay.
So at least we should have a provision squad of maybe 25 players who the coach knows exactly these are the players I need and should be in camp. And anytime maybe they arrive in camp, those definitely they'll be in camp for 5 days. So 5 days times 5,000 shillings.
Do you think we'll ever get to a point from where you're seated? Do you think we'll ever get to a point where we'll have fully professional football players where all they do, wake up in the morning, is play football, sleep football, dream football?
Yeah, we definitely will.
What do you think needs to be done for us to get there? Because it looks like we're pretty far from there.
No, we are not pretty far from there. It's just that because guys are losing patience with Kenyan football, but definitely we'll be there. Countries all over, all these countries, they have professional footballers.
Fred, do you think we'll ever get to a point where we see that day?
Yes, I'm in one with my brother here, Boniface. But I'd like also quickly to respond to the chairman of Kenya Football Association. It's unfortunate that these people don't even recognize Mutiso. They don't recognize him. KPL doesn't recognize Mutiso. FKF doesn't recognize Mutiso. The only time they look for Mutiso is when they're going for voting. Out of the 78 guys who are going to vote, the player's voice is only one. One person is going to vote on behalf of all the players, 10,000 or 50,000 players in Kenya. So what I'm saying, they must recognize Mutiso, because Mutiso, we elected Mutiso democratically in broad daylight. He is our representative. KPL recognized that boy. The problem with the people who are thriving in disorder, they don't want order. Recognize that boy. FKF, whoever comes in, recognize this boy, because he's the voice of these players. Kenyan players, this is the only country where a player can be sacked simply because his face, the TM doesn't like his face. You come to work and because your producer doesn't like your face, he tells you go home. And nothing happens. I feel so bad. I played in the Kenya Premier League. I didn't have the privilege to play for the national team like my bro. I played for the national youth team in 93-94. I played for KCB. I played for Sony Sugar. I played for Reunion. So I know what I'm talking about. This is the only country where someone will give you a contract that's not a contract. Just 4-5 years ago, you're talking about KPL. I'm sorry, I'll hit on people here. Congo United sacked 7 players, and they looked for me because I talk on behalf of players. They told me, Orocho, we'd like you to champion for us on this. I told them, bring me your contracts. My friend, I was astonished. When they brought me their contract, it's written players contact,
not contract,
and that is deliberate. It is in bold. Let's not just look at the federation. That's why I'm saying let's not look at the person. I took that contract to KPL. I told them, guys, I did show them the contract. I told them, what is wrong with the Congo United players? They have been sacked. No, we are taking good care of them. I told them, okay, give me a copy of that contract you're talking about. The contract was picked from the shelves. It's the same thing. Players contact. Now, if I am having a contract that is a contact, I go to court with that. They will tell him what I tell him. This is where we live. So it cannot hold any water in a court of law. It is not a contract. Yes. So that's why I'm bringing in Mutiso. They must recognize this guy. And the association has a lawyer to champion for players' interest. You cannot be in the management and purport to take care of interests of guys in the union. So KPL cannot say that they are championing for the interests of players. They should let it to be championed by some autonomous body. a neutral body. You cannot tell me that KPL, that is made up of 16 coaches, 16 chairmen, will champion for the rights of players. You cannot tell me that, because these very chairmen are the people who are going to be accused by the very players. If, for example, Thika United is having a problem with its player, who is the accused here? The chairman, because he's the one handling the contract.
Okay, going back to professional football, when do we expect to see that happening, given where we are today, where a footballer wakes up and dreams football 24/7?
It is coming.
What needs to be done?
You can kill the messenger, but you'll never kill the idea. It is coming. It will not take us long. Eventually we'll reach there.
We'll get there.
Where first of all you get a new president in Kenyan football, then we move into the details. And for me it's not even the national team. The national team is the cream. Imagine if the national team can spend 15 hours in a flight. What about the local team in Yamtali? That's what I'm saying. It's coming down.
It's coming down. All right, Boniface, closing comments on solutions and the way forward. What would you like to see as Kenyan football in years to come?
And years to come, first of all, there's a Kenya Football as Welfare Station here. That's something that I always fight for. And our match maybe will also try to maybe blame the management of Kenyan football. We as also players, we blame ourselves, yeah? Because you find most of the Kenyan players, they're not even registered, yeah? And then it's a body that's usually fights, is supposed to fight for their rights in Kenyan football. Once we as players come together and know our rights and champion for them, then definitely the football in Kenya is going to change. But now the problem is also sits with the players themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Closing comments very briefly.
Bye-bye, Nyamwe. This is a new dawn. Let's bring in a new face. Let's give everybody his rights, give everybody his position, and mark my word, we are going to go back where we are in the 80s.
All right, wonderful. Well, that's where we're going to wind up. State of the Nation. Thank you very much, Ambani Boniface, former Kenya international football player, and also Fred Orocho, who's a football commentator and also journalist, sports journalist. That's where we wind up our show of State of the Nation. And well, do stand by. We've got News Hour coming up right here on KTN News.